Greetings, Benjamin J. from Ben's Trains with another in the series. Well, a follow-up on that 898 that I've been working on. I just put a light coat of primer on it just to see how it's going to hide the repairs that I did last night of filling in those holes with epoxy putty. As you see, the holes are gone. So I just put a real light coat of black primer on this. I'm going to follow this up. Now that the steel is coated, I'm going to follow this up with a textured primer and then decide whether I'm going to paint it or hydro dip it. Anyway, been fitting the stack. Now, as you see, there's a ridge here in the shell, and the original stack was just a round stack. It's actually the front bezel off of a Commodore Vanderbilt. So I had this streamlined stack. So I've modified it by filing the rear so it can accommodate that ridge in the shell right there. And as you see, once that's fitted, that is going to look fairly good. It's far from perfect. The whole thing is far from perfect. I mean, it was junk. But as you can see, it is turning slowly back into a locomotive. So I'm going to make some handrails out of brass. The next thing I'm going to do, of course, is put a textured primer on it. And that will hide all of the imperfections in the steel itself from not only the rust, but the original process when they made it. Marx dipped these locomotives in paint, and that hid lots and lots of imperfections in the steel itself. So anyway, this is just its first initial coat of primer. Just wanted to see how the front was going to look where those holes were. As you can see, they're virtually gone. And when I put some textured primer on this, they'll be completely invisible. You won't see them at all. And I'll finish fitting the stack, because this was not meant to have a streamlined stack. So I'll get that finished and then put the textured primer on it, take it from there and see if we're going to paint it or if we're going to hydro dip it. Anyway, I put a motor in it just to give me some idea of what this is going to look like on the rail, so I thought I'd do a quick video. So put a motor in it. It's actually running really well. So like I said, far from perfect, but considering this is made completely out of junk parts. That motor runs well. So once this is finished, I think it's going to be more than acceptable looking. And I'll get this stack fitted. I've still got to file a bit more on this edge to accommodate that rise in the shell right there. So I'll get that fitted, put one coat of textured primer on it, and then I'm going to decide whether I'm going to paint it or hydro dip it. We will see. But in the meantime, just want to do a follow-up so you can see that making some progress on this. It actually doesn't look bad. The holes are gone. That was the main stumbling block. You know, it doesn't cost you anything to fill them. To replace them costs you 12 bucks. It seemed really redundant to spend that much on a junk locomotive that you picked up for 2 bucks. Anyway, I just want to do a quick follow-up on this. So I'll follow up with a coat of textured primer and get the stack finished, and then we'll decide whether I'm going to paint it or hydro dip it. But just want to do a quick follow-up on this. As you can see, the holes are filled, they're gone. This actually doesn't look too bad. And considering it's made completely out of junk, it doesn't look bad at all. And if you just wanted to run it, you could leave it just like it is. But like I said, I'm thinking of painting it red. If I hydro dip it, it's going to have a pattern on it, so we'll see. Anyway, there's lots of kits on eBay for hydro dipping. And they have American flags, Confederate flags, skulls, crossbones. You can make this thing look like wood grain. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. So anyway, I was looking at a hydro dipping kit and of the Confederate flag. And that would look really, really sharp on this. Anyway, I just wanted to do a quick follow-up video. So we'll see how this goes. But so far, so good. Like I said, it's far from perfect, but considering it's made completely out of junk parts, it's going to look all right, I think. And once this is finished, of course, I'll just scrape the paint off of the bell. I'm going to use clear epoxy to pour a lens for the where the number board was. It won't be a number board, but it'll look like one. It'll be transparent, translucent anyway. And put some brass handrails on this, and it would actually look all right. I've got the lens for it. So when I got it, it was missing virtually everything. It was missing the number board, both markers, and the stack. So it was just junk. I bought it strictly for the motor, of course. And that motor is actually running really well. It's in one of the Commodore Vanderbilts. And so just wanted to do a quick follow-up on this. So I figured I'd use it as a project and just see what I could make out of it. It's going to be far from perfect, but it's going to look nice. And the fun part is being able to build something out of parts. And when you get finished, you, like I said, you have the satisfaction of just kicking back, watching it run around the rail. And it's never going to be perfect, and it's not going to be original by any stretch of the imagination. But it'll be a running locomotive made completely out of junk. So I just want to do a follow-up video. I think it's going to look all right. It's only taken, I don't know, I probably got 2 hours in this now, something like that. So it just depends on how much energy you want to put into it. I could just go ahead and finish primering it and then just paint it red. And that would actually look quite good, just as is. And then just mount the stack, scrape the bell, put the lens and the number board in it, and you have a running locomotive that doesn't look bad at all. So just made out of parts out of the parts box, really. I bought this just for the motor, had no use for the shell at all. It was in terrible condition, covered with rust. And since I did the de-rusting video, I thought I'd just go ahead and do a series of fixing this thing up and turning it into a runnable locomotive. Like I said, you know, a couple bucks. That's really all I've got into this, and about 2 hours of my time so far. So it's really easy to do this. If you have the time, if you want to put the energy into it, you can make some fairly decent stuff out of junk. And that's really all this was. Anyway, I just want to do a quick follow-up video. So it's up and running. So this is the motor I'm going to put in it. So now it's just a matter of making it look nice, getting it finished. But I wanted to do a follow-up so you can see those holes that I filled with epoxy putty are virtually gone, even with just this light coat of primer. So once I put the textured primer on it, they'll be virtually invisible. And then I'll decide whether I'm going to paint it or hydro dip it. We will see. Anyway, I just want to do a quick follow-up video. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me an email. BENZTRAINZ@gmail.com. And as always, thank you for watching.